We arrived near where the secret entrance to the Republic holdout was. I couldn't remember the exact location. Luckily, we were greeted by a Republic scout, one of those willing to side with me when I left the first time. All three of us were escorted into the sanctuary.
Welcome back. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that you are not only alive, but succeeded in retrieving your son. I'm curious, though, as to what that is.
My lady, I am a doubt, a canine-feline hybrid. We were created as means to help control the human population by the regime. However, most of our race did not want to be associated with the petty squabbles between mankind and the cameos who control the regime.
I see. So what brings you here?
This man proved to me that there still exists some who do not succumb so easily to the regime's influence and are willing to take action against it. I was fortunate enough to stumble upon him during his travels and joined his quest to rescue his son.
Well, you have your son. But there is still the regime to contend with. What plans do you have in that regard?
I already have a plan set in motion with the aid of this Doubt's telepathic network. He has communicated with his kinsmen concerning how to destroy these cameo creatures and began coordinating counteroffensives across the nation. I return here to ask if there are any who wish to join our assault against the regime's leader in DC.
I was willing to join you before. I am ready to do so still. You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my, soap spoon.
I appreciate your fellowship, but I am also going to need some of you to hang back in case we fail. Should you fail, we will all follow suit. At this point, it's an all-or-nothing endeavor.
Like it or not, we're all coming with you.
Then I guess it's settled. We converge on the nation's capital in the morning. No doubt, the remaining regime forces will be holding up there.
I will begin instructing other doubts on how to channel electricity so that we can fry the cameos. They may be a little rusty, but they should be good to go by then.
The night was rather uneasy. It was a mix of anxiety and anticipation. I was eager to get back to a normal life, or as close to normal as we could get after this. In that same breath, I was also worried about how many of us might lose our lives in the assault. What price does one put on freedom? Despite all these lingering thoughts, I somehow managed to fall asleep. The following morning, the Republic, my son, the Doubt, and I geared up and began our departure. We took what forces we could in the truck we brought and dropped off some passengers where I rescued the Doubt and acquired enough transportation for the rest of our rebel band. I leaned over to the Doubt and asked, "Can you give me a status update?"
Our forces are amassing outside the Arlington Cemetery near DC. They appear to be waiting for us.
Then let's not keep them waiting. Within the hour, we arrived in Arlington. It seemed fitting that we would be launching our attack from here. So many have been buried for defending our liberties, and we shall not let their sacrifices be in vain. Given our position, we drove into D.C. by way of the Arlington Memorial Bridge and went for the White House. We were about to turn onto 17th Street from Constitution Avenue when gunfire broke out. Apparently, the cameo in charge of the regime anticipated our attack and barricaded the road. Armed forces stood watch on the ellipse's perimeter.
What do we do now?
Wait. What do you have in mind this time?
Just wait.
Mere seconds pass, then the gunfire began to gradually die off. What the hell happened?
We happened.
The soldiers that were blocking our way were now prone and subdued by the Doubt's kin. They must have emerged from the storm drains under the park.
There are so many!
This is only the portion of those that could handle the volt transfer technique. There are still several thousands in the tunnels and catacombs beneath the city.
Then let us restore order. For us, and for them. We began our march toward the White House. It began to rain. I could sense that there was an internal conflict in the Doubt as to whether to play in the puddles or hide from the rain. However, since water tends to short out electricity, I gave the Doubt at my side a poncho so as to keep him dry. The remaining Doubt ran for neighboring buildings. The Doubt, the Republic, and I made it to the backyard of the White House. It was at this moment that an intercom came on.
My fellow Americans. Oh, I cannot say that with a straight face, even if I wanted to.
Where is the president, you fiend?
You naive fools. I am your president. I know you took the shortly after being nominated to the office. In short, thanks. And you're welcome.
What makes you think any of your actions as of late would not incite a rebellion?
Because I have one thing you don't.
Oh, and what's that?
I have my finger, and it's on the button. One more move, and I'll start on your August.
What are your terms?
Nothing too strenuous. I want you to applaud and cheer for me. Show me how grateful you are to still be alive.
Yeah, good stuff, yeah.
Louder. Do you not see this? This is how your so-called democracy dies, with thunderous applause.
It takes more than showmanship to run a country. It takes trust as well. If your people don't trust you, your title means nothing.
You dare lie that I don't have power over you. I have the means to end all your pathetic lives right now, just by pressing a button.
But what will that prove? Even if you survive the fallout, you will be trapped in a world devoid of life.
You have a better idea then?
I will come in to discuss terms of surrender.
What are you doing?
Have you completely lost your mind?
The only one there who did not seem worried was the Doubt, who could sense my hidden agenda. My plan was to get the cameo leader and I alone to minimize collateral damage when I fry the cameo with the Doubt's electrical surge. I would have urged him to come outside, but everyone was soaking wet from the rain, with the exception of the Doubt and a select few with proper attire.
Very well. It's fitting that you surrender the building that means so much to you, Permanent Price. Meet me at the Oval Office.
The Doubt and I began walking to the back door of the White House. Once we were inside, I asked that the Doubt remain outside the Oval Office. I did not need to say much beyond that. The Doubt began to siphon electricity from an adjacent wall outlet. Thankfully, there was a small corridor just outside the Oval Office for the Doubt to hide in. There also did not appear to be any apparatuses within it outside of a hanging light fixture and a desk lamp. This would prove pivotal for my plan. I walked into the Oval Office. I had always dreamed of being here, but not under these circumstances. The cameo leader was sitting behind the desk, acting smug and arrogant.
So, how belittled does everyone feel, knowing that their so-called hero was secretly a turncoat?
You misunderstand my intentions. I have come to discuss the terms of your surrender.
Oh, and the comedian to boot. Ah, and how is it that you intend to stop me? Huh?
I can stop you with this.
Ha ha ha! A lighter? What good would that do? You would singe my human shell, maybe a first or second degree burn, at best.
I held a lighter up to the fire suppression system, and the sprinklers in the ceiling began to douse me and the cameo leader with water. The doubt rounded the corner, charged with electricity from the building.
Fry him! Do it now!
But you're soaking wet as well. I might kill you too.
Now!
He was right. The surge of electricity would surely be enough to kill both of us. I figured it was a worthwhile price to pay to ensure a bright future for my son. Tears began streaming down my face. The doubt hissed and growled, then shot electricity at the pool of water the cameo leader and I were standing in. I felt tingly all over from the current coursing through my body. What happened?
Exactly what I told you. I fried both of you with that blast.
Then, wait, how am I still alive?
You can use electricity to both stop and start a heart. After you're both hit, I pulled you out of the water and began resuscitating you like a makeshift defibrillator.
Thanks. I owe you one. The doubt and I emerged triumphant from the back of the White House, and we were greeted with a standing ovation. My son rushed to my side, tears streaming down his face. Now that our nation was free once again, we could rebuild our cities and our government. The doubt species no longer had to live in hiding under the nation's capital, and joined in the festivities.
And what is next for this intrepid hero? Sir, do you have any plans for what you want to do now that the nation is no longer being suppressed by the cameos?
No, not really. I just want everything back to the way it was before all this madness started. However, should the nation need me, rest assured, I will be ready. The Suburban Samurai, a radio drama written and narrated by Don Rosenberger, also starring Jake Hilty as the Doubt, Josh Hilty as the cameo leader, and Donna Rosenberger as the rebel leader. The music used in this episode of Suburban Samurai was composed by Bobby Prince, Dope, Power Station, Crush 40, Howard Shore, and Nobou Uematsu.